Alright, hello everyone. My name is Intermediate O, and I'm an Evangelion fan, currently living in Tokyo. I was really looking forward to going to go see the final Evangelion film only like 2 weeks ago, but as you probably already know, the film itself was postponed because of the state of emergency in Japan. So I've been kind of bummed since then. I wasn't really sure how quickly I would come back to make Evangelion videos, but recently there was an actual leak for the final film, and this leak is pretty huge in my opinion, but it is also the kind of leak that I don't think that would be that big of a deal to kind of more casual Evangelion fans, which there's nothing wrong with being a more casual Evangelion fan. But the reason why it's such a big deal to me is that it kind of builds on a theory that I've had in my brain for like years now at this point. And it basically confirms to me kind of what the structure of the final film is going to look like. So, spoiler warning, I will be getting into this leak and what I think it basically means, like probably like 99% sure what it means as in regards to the structure of the final Evangelion film. So if you would not like to be spoiled, please go ahead and end the video right now. And I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so let's get into what the spoiler actually was about. So, a while ago, when Hikaru Utada revealed that she would be providing the theme song for the final film, One Last Kiss, they also unveiled that there was going to be an Evangelion kind of compilation track of all of the songs she's made for Evangelion up until this point. There was this mystery, though, where track number 2 was something that was unannounced. It's something that they were keeping secret for some reason. And if you see at the bottom, actually, let me zoom in on this. So we see that track number 2 was unannounced, as well as track number 8. And the reason for this is just how Japanese albums are usually structured, where the new songs will have an instrumental version. So you can see number 7 is the instrumental version of One Last Kiss, so we can pretty safely assume that number 8, also if you look at the runtime kind of points of this, is that number 8 is just the instrumental version of whatever track number 2 is. So before I get into what track number 2 actually ended up being, I'll tell you that I thought there was kind of 3 options of what it could be, and one of the things I thought it would be is what it ended up actually being. So option 1, it could have been just a new track by her that they were keeping secret because maybe the title of the track itself would reveal something about the plot. So just a new song like One Last Kiss by Hikaru Utada. And of course, since I'm telling you that, that's not what the actual case ended up being. Option number 2 is that the song itself was just going to be an insert song for the movie, kind of like the 2 insert songs during 2.0 that we got. And the reason why Hikaru Utada would be singing it instead of the voice actress for Rei, who sung the 2 insert songs for 2.0, would just be probably because the song itself would be in English, which isn't uncommon in the Evangelion franchise. As you see, as track number 6, she's already sung Fly Me to the Moon before for the series. So, I could see hypothetically there maybe being an insert song that was sung completely in English that they would choose Hikaru Utada for, like Comme Sister Todd. And obviously, if it was Comme Sister Todd, that would be kind of a spoiler for the kind of tone that the movie would take. But of course, again, since I'm mentioning this as the second option, that's not the case as well. So option number 3, what I thought it could be, and what it actually ended up being, and what I kind of hoped it would be, because it's kind of been a theory I've had for years now, is that it would be, and dun 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 dun, Beautiful World. And so yeah, it's going to be a third remix, or actually it's going to be the third version of Beautiful World, following up Beautiful World from 1.0, and then Beautiful World Planetib. I'm not sure how you pronounce it for 2.0, the remix for 2.0. And of course that means that track number 8 is just going to be that same Beautiful World remix, just the instrumental version. And just a quick note on da capo, I'm not really going to get into it in this video at all. All da capo means is it's another musical symbol that basically effectively works the exact same as the colon double bar line that's used for the title itself. So yeah, it's kind of just a way to reference that and could maybe reference something to the story. If you want to get to more into the repeat symbolism, I actually discuss stuff like that in my Evangelion title breakdown video, so please go ahead and go check that out if you want to know about it. But anyways, getting back to Beautiful World, I will explain to you why I think this is such a big deal and why it kind of spoils what's going to happen in the film itself. But before that, let's get into why I'm confident that this actually is a genuine leak. So the reason why this leak actually came about was from Chinese fan pages of Hikaru Utada. And what these leaks actually were of, if we see down here, this is quite a while ago, they were going to release a clear file that actually had the entire album on it. And since the album wasn't officially, since all the tracks weren't officially revealed at this point, when they showed this image, they were all blurred out. So the image that seems to be circulating on Chinese Hikaru Utada fan pages is of this image unblurred, which for some reason got leaked because they had to change the date on it itself. And so this also leads credence to me why it is official, because the thing that this leak actually confirms would basically mean nothing to most normal Hikaru Utada fans. It would only mean something to somebody like me who's had this weird kind of niche theory rumbling in the back of my brain for years now. So since it didn't come from an Evangelion fan account, I do think that it probably is legitimate. But even if I didn't, you can actually prove that it is real on your own now because of this. And I don't know why I didn't think about this. But anyways, so this is the full image itself that was shared by the official Japanese Hikaru Utada account. This isn't the leaked image. I won't be sharing the leaked image just in case. And if we look here, we can see the blurred out track listing. And I feel like I'm pretty sure I did see this image and I did know about this clear file. And I don't know why I didn't try to do this, but hindsight is 2020. And just with this totally official image itself, you can confirm that the title is Beautiful World. Because as we know, the first listing on the track list would be One Last Kiss. And then if you did have the theory that the second track would be Beautiful World along with the third and fourth track, which we do know are Beautiful World, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to prove it this way. I have no idea why I didn't think about it, but this is what I did. You just take the listings and then through any photo editing software, you can just reposition them to check if the actual text themselves line up and show that they're the same writing. So if the first one is One Last Kiss, you can kind of maybe make out that it's three blobby words, but realigning track number 2, 3, and 4, you can see a clear pattern where they're kind of, the blurriness thins out in these three sections that would represent roughly Beautiful World. And you could see right there that the first track listing would be One Last Kiss. And the thing that comes after these sections would just be the versions of it. So like the capo version, and then like the remixed version, and then like the remixed planeted version. But obviously, just with the official image, you can go and check and see that track number 2, 3, and 4 are the same. I have no idea why I didn't think about this. It kind of drives me crazy that I didn't even try to do this. It just like slipped my mind. So that's why I feel pretty confident in saying that, yes, this leak is entirely genuine. You have those two big pieces of evidence, basically. All right, but now let's talk about why I think this leak is so important. Some people may just be like, oh, that's no big deal. It just has Beautiful World. And for most people, it probably wouldn't seem like a big deal. Again, this is why I think it is important that it leaked from the Utada side, and why that leans credence to it not being from some sort of conniving Eva fan who's trying to fake a leak or anything by this, because it's such a niche theory to even address. But me, personally, kind of believing in this theory, I think that the reason why Beautiful World being there would be censored, why they would not want to reveal that before the movie actually airs, is that Beautiful World, kind of like Neon Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion, the feature film for the previous TV series, Beautiful World is going to be used like the mid-credit sequence for that movie. So in End of Evangelion, we had the movie split up into two sections, the episode 25 section and then the episode 26 section. And what separated these two films was the Thanatos mid-credit sequence. So I propose, well, not even propose, I kind of believe it at this point, like I'd be so surprised if it doesn't happen now, that for Shin Evangelion, we will have a 3.0 section of the movie. Then we will have the Beautiful World, the couple version, as a mid-credit sequence, and then we will finish the movie with a plus 1.0 section. So basically, to me, this confirms that we will get mid-credits, that the mid-credits are separating the 3.0 and plus 1.0 sections of the movie. It's going to be a two-part movie, basically. So I do believe that Evangelion, the Rebuild tetralogy, is a tetralogy, that it is basically telling four separate stories. We have 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and then plus 1.0 attached to the end. So 1.0, the 1.0 section of the story, roughly equates to 1.0 of the movie. Then we have 2.0, equates to 2.0. But then with 3.0, I think that the movie that we watched previously, 3.0, only covered part of the story of 3.0. The story of 3.0 is not over yet. And that's why the final film itself is called 3.0 plus 1.0. So I think what will happen in this final film is we will finish covering the story of 3.0 and then transition and tell the story of plus 1.0. And why that relates to the music actually telling us this is because of Sakura Nagashi at the end of 3.0. This was actually the thing that kind of sparked this idea in my head years ago now, is because I really didn't like them using Sakura Nagashi as the ending theme song to 3.0, because they had doubled down on Beautiful World kind of being the end credit music to the series, with it finishing off both 1.0 and 2.0. When 3.0 didn't finish off with that song, I kind of was trying to find a reason of why they would do that besides just the obvious, oh, it's a marketing thing because she has a new song out and she just wants to use that instead, or they just want to use her new song instead for promotion, which is totally fine. Other series totally do that as well. But it was kind of irksome. Like, it kind of gave this unbalance to the series. But then, with the introduction of Shin Evangelion's English title, being Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, that's when it sparked the idea in my brain that maybe the reason why it's called 3.0 plus 1.0 is because the story of 3.0 is not over yet. So the credits that we saw at the end of 3.0 with Sakura Nagashi actually were the mid credits for the 3.0 story, which means that at the end of 3.0 story, we'll finally get a new remix of Beautiful World, which is exactly what's pretty much been confirmed to happen now. So this is kind of the structure I feel like the series is going to follow. 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and then up till the mid-credits is the third film, and this final film will finish the story of 3.0 and transition into the plus 1.0 section all in one film itself. Alright, so with all this information, I feel pretty confident in saying that this is pretty much what's going to happen. This is kind of as far as it goes, though, into what I'm kind of like, I'd pretty much bet on this. Like, I'd pretty much bet all this stuff would happen. Now, after this, I will discuss some more theorizing about why I do feel even more confident why this is the case, as well as some other theories. But you can nitpick that stuff more. But this stuff right here, I am pretty confident about. So some other information that would also kind of support the idea that the story of 3.0 is not finished as well is that the first film, 1.0, was split up into 4 sections: the A part, the B part, C part, and D part. This is the same case for the second movie, but they did also add an Avant section to the beginning of the film, which is just the Mari fight where she pilots Unit 5, just kind of an intro to the movie. With 3.0 though, we still did have the Avant, which is the section where Mari and Asuka fight in space to get Unit 1 back, but mysteriously, the D part of this movie was missing. Up until this point, they followed this 4-part A from D structure, and then all of a sudden it changed with 3.0, where the D part was mysteriously missing. So if you watch the extra features on the DVDs themselves, that are called like Rebuild of blah blah, Rebuild of 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, for 3.0, when you watch the extra features about the production of materials, you will see on the screen that it never gets to the D section. The C part goes all the way up until Mari ejecting Shinji from the unit. So this kind of leads credence to the idea that the story of 3.0 is not done yet, that there's a missing D part that we have not seen. And this has kind of been confirmed over the years. I also discussed this as well in my Shin Evangelion title breakdown video, where there were animatics that came out after the release of 3.0 that basically showed what the D part of the movie would have been, and that D part has basically been confirmed to be the beginning of the next movie, kind of. So, what you may think I would propose for the structure of 3.0 plus 1.0 is something like this, like where we finish the story of 3.0 with the D part being kind of the avant, kind of just the intro to the movie, and then very quickly we would change over to the traditional structure of A part through D part of the plus 1.0 portion of the story. And I do think that this is a valid way of looking at it, but I don't necessarily think that that would be the structure. So Kara actually has shared some images of the scripts on Twitter a couple times, and in this image specifically, they actually showed what they were presenting as all the scripts for the movie, starting with the first portion of the script having Avant 1 and 2 and the A part all together, and then the B, C, and D part after that. And as we already know, the Avant 1 portion of the film was the first 10 minutes that they showed at Paris with the Mari and Paris fight, and the Avant 2 portion I feel like we can pretty safely assume was that cut D part from 3.0 that was kind of shown in animatics like years before they ever showed these teasers that have the same exact footage. So it's basically the scene with Shinji, Asuka, and Rei wandering their wasteland until they get to a spot where the Lilin, as Asuka called them, can pick them up. So up until now, that actually seems pretty convincing still, right? That, oh, maybe Avant 1 and 2 would just act as the D part for 3.0, and then we just transition directly into the A part of the plus 1.0 section of the movie. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there's actually more evidence to show that the movie may be split up more evenly down the center. Okay, so to start explaining this crazy logic, basically, also on the car Twitter, they shared this image quite a while ago. So this is a promotional image that they shared of the completed D part portion of the film, and it caused a lot of controversy. So look at it for a second, maybe see, is there anything on here that you think would kind of like make you be suspicious of something? All right. So what everybody was so suspicious of was the time code at the top of the thing that said 5 hours, 59 minutes, and 50 seconds, seemingly. And this caused such a stir that there were even Japanese articles or English articles saying that, oh no, like the final Evangelion film may actually be 6 hours long. And they actually had to release a statement saying that it wasn't. All right, so this is the statement right here. And what they explained is that even though this is the D part screen, so we have Shin Evangelion, below that we have D part, below that we have the runtime of the D part, which is interesting, is 41 minutes, and then below that it says in Japanese, until the credits. And I'm not actually sure if this time includes the credits, or if the credits would be separate, or if they'd be after this or with this 41 minutes, I'm not sure. That's something you'd probably have to be more involved in filmmaking, and specifically Japanese filmmaking, to know what they mean exactly. And then below that, we just have the time of actual completion of the reel. All right, so what they explained about this time code, the 5 hours, 59 minutes, 50 seconds, is that it isn't actually a time code for how long the film itself is or how long it's going to be. What it is it's just the max time of that roll of the film. So it's starting with a 5 doesn't mean that they're at the 5 hour point in the movie. It just means that they're on the 5th roll of film. And each of the film rolls can last 1 hour long. And they explain that they don't have to do this. They just do this as a carryover from the days where you actually did use rolls of film, and they did equate to about an hour worth of footage that you could fit onto one of them. So even though now they do everything digitally, they still cut the movie into these about 1 hour long max chunks that they can just piece the movie together with at the end. So what this 5 means is the 5th roll. So they basically confirmed that the movie is at least 5 rolls long. Later on, they did share an additional image that kind of relates to this, which is nice. So they shared that roll number 1, if you look in the bottom right hand corner, is the R2 roll, which is only 20 minutes long. This roll would just be the combination of the 2 Avants together. So Avant 1, which is 10 minutes, and then so we can kind of assume that Avant 2 itself would also be 10 minutes. And then just put those together to form the R2 roll, which is roll number 1 of the film. That's pretty safe to assume. And when they did share this R2 tweet, they did go back and share this tweet about the time code again right afterwards, so nobody was confused by the 159 that was in the bottom of the R2 roll. So up to this point, though, everything does still pretty much line up with the idea that the movie will start with a 3.0 section and then pretty quickly transfer into the plus 1.0 section still. But then they did something that was very suspicious and very surprising to me. Towards the end of the production of the movie, they shared an image of the final frame of the film. And in the tweet, they do explain that even though this is the final frame of the film, this frame actually is not shown in the film itself. It's just something that they're using when they're editing. But if you look closely, in the bottom corner, they still do have the time code. And this time, it's starting at the 9-hour mark. So that would mean the 9th roll. And that honestly feels like way longer than what I would even think in my craziest theories, but it doesn't not match up with ideas that I've had still. The movie being 9 rolls long is definitely suspicious to begin with, but you could maybe say, oh, well, even if they're showing that, maybe it's just the final frame of the film always says like something like it's the 9th roll, or like because it's 9 hours long, because there's no way a movie's ever going to be 10 hours long, so it's just 9 is a placeholder. But after sharing this image, just like they did with the R2 roll, they doubled down again and retweeted the explanation tweet of what this number means. So they basically confirmed that what this number means is 9 rolls. They're like, oh, just in case anybody's confused, yeah, that means it's 9 rolls again. So that's where we're kind of sitting at this moment in regards to the mystery of how long the movie is. So if all this is true, we basically have 9 rolls to work with to divide the structure of the movie. So as we've already gone over, we know that the R2 roll is the first roll in the film, and it probably just is the combination of Avant 1 and 2 together. Then we know that the D part is about 41 minutes long, and it's the 5th roll of the movie. And of course with this, you can kind of assume that roll 2 through 4 is just A through C. So we have roll 1 is the Avants, roll 2 is A part, then B part, C part, D part, up until roll 5. So what does this mean for the last 4 rolls of the movie if there really are 9 rolls? Well, I think what it could point to is that the movie is not going to be a quick transition from 3.0 to the plus 1.0 portion of the title, but it's going to be more evenly split. So roll 1 through 5 is going to be the 3.0 portion, and then roll 6 through 9 is going to be a repeated movie, kind of like a double feature. So we kind of have a new A part, B part, C part, and D part. And I just used the apostrophes just like they did for the director's cut versions of episode 21 through 24, where they just called them 21 apostrophe, 22 apostrophe. It's a thing that they do for Ava. So yeah, maybe it's a repeated A, B, C, and D part. And just a quick visualization, this does fit with the beautiful world revelation we've had now, where the beginning section would be a 3.0 section, then beautiful world with the credits would kick in, and then we would go into the plus 1.0 section of the movie. All right, so what I think that means is that the last movie may not be as clear cut as the first three have been, and it'll look something more like this. So, we have Avant 1, 2, ABCD part, and then transition to the plus 1.0 portion, and ABCD part again. So that's it for that, talking about the structure of the movie, and just getting a little bit more into the music. So I guess the big question that maybe some people would still have at this point is, well, what's going to happen with One Last Kiss? They're marketing One Last Kiss as the new song for the movie, of the theme song for the movie. And yeah, of course they would do that. It's the new song by Hikaru Utada. If they would much rather market that than a remix. And as I've already explained, the remix would kind of be a spoiler for the film itself. So, what are the potential uses that One Last Kiss could still have in the movie to kind of justify itself being the trademark song of the movie? All right, so the first thing it could be just a second credit sequence. So this wouldn't be the first time Evangelion kind of had a double feature. It actually would kind of be the third time, but the first time we ever had it was with Evangelion, Death and Rebirth, where we had the death portion of the movie, then we had the credit sequence that used canon, a classical music song, we had an intermission, and then we had the rebirth sequence finished off with another credit sequence. So that is always a possibility that there would be credits twice in the movie, once to finish out the 3.0 section, and then at the end for the plus 1.0 section as well. I don't personally think this would happen, mainly because there was utility to there being two credit sequences for Death and Rebirth, because Death was just kind of a recap of the television series and used that material. So a lot of the credits that they had there were to credit those people for the TV production. Well, the credits for Rebirth were kind of totally new because it was an entirely new production that they had to do to produce the new material. So yeah, it could be that. There still could just be two credit sequences, but I'm leaning towards that not being the case because the film is just this one production. If it was the case though, then the structure of the movie would look something like this. Just 3.0, beautiful world credits, plus 1.0, finish off with One Last Kiss credits. So it's a possibility. I'm not confident on this happening though. I think that it would still just be one credit sequence because the production of the movie is just this one film. It's not divided in between two films at all. So personally, I do think that it is more Evangelion feeling, more traditionally Evangelion, I guess, to have just the mid-credit sequence. So with End of Evangelion, we had episode 25, episode 26, and then the end credits, and I feel like why this was so good in execution is because at the end of the movie, there is no credits. Just you get the final scene at the beach, and then the lights rise up. So yeah, I feel like that would be better for this final film as well. Kind of, we've been on this journey now with the rebuild films for the past, oh my god, past 14 years. So it would be nice to kind of have that nice, quick ending to it. But the thing to note though about End of Evangelion though, even when the theme to the credits was Thanatos, that doesn't necessarily mean it was the theme song to the movie. So it kind of shows that whatever the theme song is, it doesn't necessarily have to be the credits. Like, if you ask anybody what is the theme song to End of Evangelion, they probably wouldn't answer Thanatos. They would probably answer something more like Home Sister Todd, which was an insert song. So I think that's the other option, and what I think is the more likely thing to actually happen is that One Last Kiss won't be a credit song at all, but it will be an insert song that is used during a pivotal scene. Something that maybe could be on the level of Third Impact and End of Evangelion, but honestly, ever since I heard the title of the theme song being One Last Kiss, even before I actually heard the song itself through any of the previews, it gave me the feeling of One More Final, which is the final scene of Evangelion. So One Last Kiss, One More Final, they kind of have that same feel to me. So rather than being used at the climax like Home Sister Todd is for Third Impact, I actually would not be surprised if One Last Kiss actually is kind of the final song of the movie and it actually plays until the very end of the movie, but maybe what we'll get is kind of an epilogue scene or a scene that is just kind of showing the conclusion to everybody's story. You know what I mean? Kind of going around and doing a victory lap of showing everybody's happy ending or bad ending based on whatever we get. Kind of just like a nice music video to end off the film. All right, and so that's it. That's all I had for today. It's actually really funny that this happened because I was preparing before I kind of got into my slump where I didn't really want to think or talk about Evangelion for a while. I was actually planning on making a simple video talking about what the second track of Hikaru Tada's new Evangelion album could possibly be. But now, yeah, I don't know if I'm upset I didn't make it, so I can't call back to it directly, or if I'm happy I didn't make it because what I would have predicted would have been proven like a week later anyways. But yeah, that's it for today. If you have any comments about whether you think this idea is crazy, or maybe you think it's crazy but you think it's true anyways, please discuss it down below. But yeah, I had fun making this video. I hope you had fun listening to it. I'm pretty confident in saying that yes, the movie will have a mid-credit sequence with Beautiful World Now. If you don't agree with me, let's discuss down below.